Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started.
What's up, my friends? How's it going? I know many of you were eager to see how Max Verstappen would perform in his GT3 debut at the legendary Nürburgring. And of course, here at GP in Casa, we bring you all the details, always direct, fast, and without unnecessary fluff. So, before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and activate notifications so you don't miss a single update about Formula One and this weekend about Verstappen's adventure outside F1. And of course, if you enjoy this content, hit that like button to support our work. Now let's get into it. The reigning Formula One world champion proved once again that talent has no boundaries between categories. Despite it being his very first official GT3 race, Verstappen qualified in 3rd place, already showing pace that surprised many in the paddock. But he didn't stop there. When the lights went out, Verstappen needed just one corner to take the lead of the race. With an aggressive but precise move right at the start, he showed everyone that he wasn't just here to test himself, he was here to dominate. From that point on, the Dutchman pulled away lap after lap in breathtaking fashion. Within only 5 laps, Verstappen had opened a 16-second gap to the car behind him. By the time his first stint was coming to an end, the margin had grown to nearly 1 minute, an incredible difference considering the competitiveness of GT3 racing. In fact, across 14 laps, he managed to stretch that lead while pushing for the outright lap record of the Nürburgring, set back in 2022. Driving the Ferrari number 31, Verstappen once again reminded the motorsport world of his extraordinary ability to adapt to any machine. After this masterclass, Verstappen handed the car over to his teammate Chris Luan for the final 60 minutes of the 4-hour race. At that point, the victory seemed practically secured unless something went terribly wrong. Fortunately for the team, Luan is no novice. With plenty of simulator and track experience, he managed his stint with composure and precision, keeping the pace steady and avoiding mistakes. The result? After 4 intense hours of racing, Max Verstappen and Chris Luan crossed the finish line in 1st place, marking a historic victory in Verstappen's GT3 debut. The final gap was an impressive 24.5 seconds to the 2nd-place car, underlining not just the dominance of Verstappen's opening stint, but also the solid teamwork throughout the race. On the podium, Verstappen was visibly thrilled. This wasn't just another win, it was his first outside F1, and it represented the start of a new chapter. For him, the goal is clear: to prove that he can be one of the greats not only in Formula One, but across multiple racing disciplines. Starting his GT3 journey with such a dominant performance is the perfect statement of intent. For fans, this result raises an exciting question. How far can Verstappen go outside F1? Could we see him competing more frequently in endurance racing, GT categories, or even iconic events like Le Mans in the future? For now, he continues focused on Formula One, but with projects like this, it's clear he's already laying the groundwork for life after F1. And if his debut is anything to go by, his career beyond F1 could be just as spectacular.
What do you think of Lewis Hamilton's debut season with Ferrari so far? Has he been below expectations, or do you feel he's simply adapting to a brand new environment after so many years at Mercedes? This debate has sparked strong opinions across the paddock, and one of the sharpest critiques came recently from former F1 driver Ralf Schumacher. Hamilton's most recent outing at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix ended with an 8th-place finish, far from the kind of results Ferrari fans had hoped for when the 7-time world champion joined the Scuderia. Schumacher, who is now a television commentator, didn't hold back in his assessment. He argued that Hamilton has shown a lack of attitude inside the team, suggesting the Briton should be far more assertive in shaping Ferrari's strategy and decisions. According to Schumacher, a driver of Hamilton's caliber should not be overly dependent on engineers when it comes to critical calls, especially regarding tire selection during qualifying or changing track conditions. He drew a comparison to his own career and the mindset of past champions. I wasn't a 7-time world champion, but if I wanted a certain tire, that's what I had. I made sure the team delivered what I needed. There was no discussion. For Schumacher, Hamilton carries enough weight and authority to demand the same, and failing to do so only undermines his influence within Ferrari. The German went further, emphasizing that, at the end of the day, it's the driver who feels the car's behavior on the edge, not the engineer watching data screens. The subtle differences in grip, balance, and tire wear are only truly understood in the cockpit, which is why Schumacher believes Hamilton should take back control in those decisive moments. In his view, letting the pit wall dictate strategy for a driver with Hamilton's resume is a mistake. Hamilton, of course, has always been known as a collaborative driver, one who values input from his race engineers and strategists. His years of success at Mercedes were built on trust with figures like Pete Bonington, or Bono, and that partnership delivered one of the most dominant eras in F1 history. But the Ferrari environment is notoriously different. The political pressure, the intensity of Italian media, and the weight of expectation can overwhelm even the most experienced drivers, something that Rubens Barrichello and even Sebastian Vettel have openly admitted in the past. So, the question becomes, is Hamilton being too passive, or is he simply respecting Ferrari's way of working while still finding his place within the team? Critics like Schumacher argue that this patience is hurting his results, while supporters claim it's part of a longer process of adaptation. After all, Ferrari's car itself has been inconsistent, showing flashes of speed but struggling with setup balance and tire degradation on race day.
What's up, my friends? How's everyone doing? Today, we bring you a slightly different kind of news here at GPM Casa, one that's not about track action, upgrades, or rivalries, but about something much more personal and emotional. Lewis Hamilton confirmed this Sunday the passing of his beloved dog Roscoe, a figure who had become almost as recognizable in the paddock as some of the engineers and drivers themselves. For years, Roscoe wasn't just Hamilton's pet, he was his companion, his shadow, and in many ways, part of the Formula One family. Fans will certainly remember Roscoe walking alongside Hamilton on race weekends, appearing in countless paddock shots, and even making it onto the big screen in the recently released Formula One movie. Roscoe had become a character in his own right, an ambassador of Hamilton's lifestyle, and a symbol of the bond between a driver and his four-legged best friend. According to Hamilton, Roscoe's health declined last week. The situation was so serious that Hamilton actually canceled his scheduled participation in a Pirelli tire test with Ferrari in order to remain by Roscoe's side. That alone shows how deep this relationship went. Hamilton prioritizing his dog over professional commitments, something rare in the ultra-demanding world of Formula One. After 4 days on life support, Hamilton made the heartbreaking decision to say goodbye, calling it one of his hardest choices of his life. In an emotional message shared on social media, Hamilton wrote that Roscoe fought until the end, and that he felt honored to have shared his life with him. He also thanked fans for the overwhelming love and support Roscoe had received over the years. And indeed, Roscoe wasn't just Hamilton's dog. He was loved by millions of fans around the world who followed his appearances on Instagram, in photos from the paddock, and even making it into official F1 content. For Hamilton, this loss comes in the middle of a demanding season, and it's bound to affect him emotionally as the championship continues. Athletes at this level are used to pressure, injuries, and setbacks, but nothing quite prepares someone for the loss of a companion who has been by their side through highs and lows, victories, and defeats. Roscoe was with Hamilton through multiple world titles, through heartbreaks on track, and through the intense scrutiny of his career. This moment also reminds us of the very human side of Formula One. Beneath the helmets, the fame, and the statistics, drivers like Hamilton are people who love, who grieve, and who find strength in relationships that have nothing to do with lap times. The outpouring of support from fans, fellow drivers, and even rival teams shows just how much Roscoe meant to the sports community. So let me ask you, do you remember Roscoe being around in the paddock? Did you notice his little cameo in the F1 movie? Share your memories and thoughts in the comments, because while Hamilton has lost a loyal companion, the entire motorsport world feels this loss alongside him.